Jazz.
Yes.
Oh my God. We are rolling.
It is a new year.
It is a new year. Happy Pooh Year.
Happy New Year. It's a new one.
In the city.
We're no longer in the old one. I love that song. Love it. Toasting with a cold chocolate, not a hot chocolate, because it's so cold in San Francisco.
In this room specifically, we record on like my porch basically, so it's like cold out here.
Yeah. But anyway.
Welcome back to another episode of the After School Special Club.
Yeah, it's good to have you here.
Great to be here. Mm-hmm. It's like a talk show.
Yeah, right?
Guys, hold on.
Yes,
let me do the intro because we keep not doing it, and I'm going to hang myself. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. I'm going to cry if I don't do it.
Next to the children.
And alter the course of their lives forever.
Yes.
Oh, my God. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the After School Special Club. My name's Chris.
My name is Mary.
Mary, why are you yelling?
Because this is my normal tone. I always talk like this.
Wow, Mary got a new voice for Christmas.
That's what I did. New year, new voice.
Everyone, this is your source of... I forgot what it is because we haven't recorded in 2 weeks.
That's right. Yeah, it's been 2 weeks, so we're like everything's out the door.
Video game commentary, entertainment, and stories from our stupid little lives.
Our very stupid little lives. We can't forget our stupid little lives. That's what makes it so like special.
The cornerstone of this podcast is our stupid little lives. That's how this all began.
Yeah, exactly. So can't forget that. But anyway, it is a new year. So what have you been doing this past week? Bringing in the new year.
Working. We don't get time off like other people, so I've been working. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really do anything special for New Year's. I went to our friend's house. It was like 4 of us. So it was very small, obviously. We do not promote Omicron on this podcast. So
no, anti-Omicron.
Yeah. So it was a very small gathering, but it was really nice. And we just hung out, had some drinks. We played Telestrations.
Oh, yes.
Favorite game.
Yes.
Favorite party game. Because, I don't really care for party games, but I do love Telestrations.
Great.
So we did that, and I went to bed at 12:05.
You're like, and clocked it in, and I'm going to bed.
I was like, it's the new year.
Now I can sleep in peace. Literally.
So, and then I went to work the next day as if nothing happened.
Yeah.
And it just felt like another day. So that's really all I've been doing. It wasn't that great this year, but.
I feel like the 4-person gathering, like, not only like, okay, COVID times, yes, that makes more sense anyway, to be safe and to actually like help out your community and not have a big rager. But I don't know if it's because I'm approaching 30, but 4 people sounds good, like for a party.
Right? It's like
I like
sweet spot.
The idea of like going to a club now and dancing, and my bones, they hurt from thinking about it.
They're cracking. Yeah, I'm like 5 or less at this point.
Yeah.
5 items or less.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Oh, there's 6 people going? Even though I invited like 12 people to our game night, which is okay because I did it and I'm not a hypocrite.
You're like, I own up to it.
Yes. But I didn't even make it to midnight. I made it to 8 o'clock. No, not even 8 o'clock. I think I made it like 7:45. I had like playing video games, of course, in the retro room and toasting with apple cider, like sparkling.
Yeah.
Blush sparkling apple cider. It was so good.
Wow.
I like it better than alcohol. I'm going to say that. It's probably because I've been alcohol free for so long. I don't know what it tastes like anymore.
Yeah.
Or how it makes me feel.
Which is good, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's probably better that way.
It's better.
Life is better.
Yeah. It's actually better than sex.
Wow. Now, hold on. Stop the cameras.
It's actually better than video games. This
Mary!
Blush apple cider.
Cut
sparkling.
the cameras.
No, but that's how I did that. And then I've been this week trying to, get in the mode of January resolutions, things like that. I never really took it to heart. I never really tried to do the resolution thing. I always thought that it was just something people say and never do, which oftentimes it is.
Yeah. I'm not a resolution person.
Yeah. I mean, I really haven't been my whole life. I don't have no resolution.
I have no resolve.
I have no resolve. Nothing.
No, that's not true. I feel like for myself, like I make, the thing is, like, I make goals and I set goals for myself throughout the year. And so I don't like New Year's resolutions because it's like I am going to make goals and set expectations for myself and for the year, like, in my own time when it feels right.
Yeah.
Like, I set intentions, but I'm not, like, going into the new year being like, oh, I'm going to, like, drop 10 pounds or, like, start exercising. wouldn't be able to anyway. I'm still injured. So, because stuff like that, I'm just like, well, first of all, those kinds of resolutions don't resonate with me because I don't care about exercising. I eat healthy. I walk for an hour and a half every day. Like, I don't need to go to the gym or do any of that stuff. It's not for me. So I like to just kind of set intentions, things that I want, things I want to be successful in this year. And that's kind of how I started it off, was just those kinds of things. So, and then how it happens rolls out over the year. That's kind of how I like to do it. So like Mary and I sat down for probably 2 hours and talked about what we want to do with the channel. So like that's kind of what I mean, is like setting goals and expectations and then creating smaller goals throughout the year to achieve that bigger thing. Is I think more sustainable, because when you, and this is just like general life advice, you can't make big changes in your life all at once. It doesn't work. You won't be able to do it. You have to do it in small increments. So that's why I think a lot of people fall off after January of going to the gym, changing their diet. It's because they go ham all at once and go vegan or go to the gym 5 days a week. And it's like, you have to ease into those kinds of big lifestyle changes. So that's my spiel.
No, it's true. I think I've been in the same boat for my whole life, where I'm just like, that's why I never really made resolutions to begin with. Like in January when everyone was making them, I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I
know myself.
I did promise myself that this was going to be the year of Mary.
Yeah.
And I decreed it. I made a decree. I had people come over.
Yeah.
Only 4 people.
Yeah.
Because it can't be any more than 5.
I sacrificed a goat.
That's right. And I sat on the throne, the altar, and I was like, I decree this is the year of Mary. And the podcast. I feel like, creative projects, that's what I want to go in. That's the direction I want to go in.
We have calendars now.
Yes, calendars, dates, times.
We have, just so you guys know, we have the entire month of January planned out.
Yes.
For video content, because we're going to do streaming and stuff, so.
Yeah, and I feel like getting organized is a good thing to do in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Because it kind of you go back.
It sets the tone.
It does. You look back on the past year and you're like, what are some things I wouldn't want to happen again? What are some things that
like all of it?
All of it. What are some things that I can control? What are some things that I can't control? Can't control the pandemic. That's not going to be controllable.
Can't control my emotions.
What can I control? And then what am I willing to do?
Right.
I'm reading this book. That's another thing I was doing this week. I'm reading this book called Unfuck Yourself. And it's basically like tough love version of a self-help book.
Yeah.
It is a self-help book, but it's like tough love.
Yeah.
It's not, even in the book, like the first chapter or the intro, he's like, if you are sensitive, do not read this book. Give this to someone else.
Yeah.
And I actually said to myself, I'm like, well, I am a sensitive person. So I was like, I need to read it because I want to see.
You're like, therefore I need this.
Therefore I need it to wake myself up. But in it, it's really interesting because he kind of in the same vein of what you were saying with resolutions and New Year's and all these things we tell ourselves we're going to do, is just ask yourself the question, am I willing? Am I unwilling? So it's, are you willing in that moment? Are you willing on that day? And if you're not willing on that day, that doesn't mean that you aren't going to do it eventually and or are not as good as other people that are willing to do those things right now. It's just different.
You have to do things in your own time. Because that's the other thing that I feel like we all collectively as a culture have this New Year's resolution, new year, new me. And it's like, I'm like, God, y'all, we live in an individualistic society. Ever taken a sociology class? I'm like, you can't do things collectively like that. It's like you have to set your own goals for yourself and do things in your own time, take baby steps, feel it out. And when it's right, it's right, and that's again, kind of why I like to do just my intentions. And then I go into the year knowing I want to work on the podcast. I have this goal for, video editing, for streaming content, for doing all that stuff. And then as the year progresses, I slowly achieve that goal by setting smaller goals.
Yeah.
And so that's how I like to look at things, because it's easier that way and it's less overwhelming. Because as a person with anxiety, it's easy to overwhelm yourself. And so it's I always have to remind myself to do things in baby steps, and that it's okay, to take my own path and set my own pace and not try and achieve everything all at once.
Yeah. And I think that's really healthy. I think that's where the consistency will play into it.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it for yourself and nobody else.
That's what my therapist told me too.
Yeah. I think
this is what I've been working on in therapy is setting goals and not overwhelming myself and not having to be the best at everything all the time.
No, yeah, and I think that is something that we try to race, right?
Yeah.
but it's like, who are we racing against?
Myself.
Yeah, and it's like
in a bad way,
in
though.
a bad way, and like
in an unhealthy way,
and giving yourself these ultimatums, and it's like
literally,
it's like, well, like you can see the ultimatum, and like that's okay that like that happened to begin with, and that's okay that that's happening, but like recognizing it, wanting it to be better for yourself, and realizing, yeah, like everyone is different. What works for one person is not going to work for another person.
Yeah.
And then just, baby steps. Because one thing, if you get one thing done a day, like if you tell yourself, I want to drink tea every day. And then before you go to bed, you drink a cup of tea and then you just start doing that every day. And you're like, wow. You did something. You accomplished something. It seems small, but it could be huge for somebody. You know?
Yeah.
You're that tea bitch.
That tea bitch.
But anyway, talking about New Year's resolutions and things like that and like working on ourselves. Are there any video game resolutions that you have?
Yeah.
Intentions, I should say.
Intentions.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Video game intentions.
Speak my language.
That's right. I need to learn the Chris language. I need to adapt.
So for myself this year, I have a ton of games on my backlog, as does everybody, but I think that I want to actually like sit down and again realistically be like, well, what do I actually want to play? What am I actually going to play? Because I have all these games in my back catalog, but like realistically, half of them I probably won't ever get to. And like, that's okay. You know, it's because the thing with this year is like January is very slow. So I'm trying to take this time to like play through games that like I've been wanting to play, and just try to get them out of the way, because once February hits, like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
A lot of games.
Yeah. And a lot of them are like big games. Mm-hmm. So I know that I'm not going to have the time to pay attention to my catalog once, the next month rolls around. So I'm trying to just kind of be realistic about what do I actually want to play? Like, what do I need to get to now? What can I wait, until I have free time again with video games? Because, there's a couple games in February that I'm definitely buying and playing. And like, once I'm done with those, okay, maybe I can revisit my catalog. So what can I get rid of now? Or not get rid of, but what can I play now that I really want to play? What can I wait? And what can I get rid of, basically?
Yeah. And exactly, that's what I'm going to be doing as well. But I like this expression someone said, like, because I think there's this obsession with beating games that we have as gamers. Like this language of like, well, if you buy it, you have to beat it.
No.
And like, it takes away what a video game should be, is just an experience that you have a good time with.
Right.
But if it becomes something like a crushing like deadline that's like hanging over you, that no longer is a fun thing. That no longer is like a hobby that you enjoy. That's like you're persecuting yourself.
No, literally.
So like I feel like, kind of like Marie Kondo, like the practice of tidying up. I want to look at the backlog that I have and like play the games that I want to play, like you were saying, and also like pick off games that I'm like, I won't beat this. Yeah. I can't beat this. And it's okay. Yeah. It's okay. I won't beat it, but I can at least play it and give it a shot.
Yeah.
Because there is some, like, for example, I was really having fun with Dragon Quest and the new one that just came out recently. Mm-hmm. And I really love it, but that's a huge game.
Yeah.
And for me, when I grind through an RPG, I spend like 200 hours in a game.
Yeah.
But there's also like Elden Ring coming out, which is going to be a big game. Forspoken, which is going to be a big game. And those are coming out soon. So I need to just play through the games I want to play through. If I beat it, I do. If I don't, that's fine.
Right. And you can always come back to it. That's my thing too, is like, I have this habit, and like you've even commented on it, where it's like I seem like I beat a lot of games. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, because I feel like, because I tend to just focus my energy on the games that I'm like really invested in, and like the ones that I like, but like wouldn't necessarily beat kind of fall to the wayside. So I want to like do less of that, because I'm like, there's so many games where it's like, yeah, I'll like play a couple hours and like maybe I won't finish it, but it's like I still want to play it, see what it's like, and like I enjoy it. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to kind of go through my catalog and be like, bye.
Yeah. And
like, okay, maybe I'll come back to you later, and like, okay, I'll do these ones now while I have time, because once Forspoken comes out, Elden Ring, I'm gonna be playing Dying Light 2.
Yeah, a lot of games, a lot of big games.
Help.
That's a lot of hours.
I'm gonna have to start scheduling my game time.
That's
no,
true.
because it won't be fun anymore if I do that.
No, because it'd be like work. No, but I think that's a good place to start, especially if you have a huge backlog, like hundreds of games. Because I have like Steam games, I have retro games that I buy, I have new games. I have all these consoles.
Yep.
And I just get overwhelmed sometimes sitting there because I have hundreds of choices like every day. And then I feel guilty. I'm like, well, I should be playing a game, which is funny.
Yeah.
Because as an adult, like as a younger kid, I was like, man, I can't play games when I want to and like all these things. And now I'm like the opposite of like, you need to play a game, like,
right.
you know?
And like I could play a game whenever I want to, but now I have these other things in my life.
Obligations, adult obligations.
Blech.
Yeah, but I think that's a good intention to set.
Yeah.
Is to play the games you have. That's important.
And the games that you want to play.
Yeah. But anyway. Speaking of games and lists of games
on this
games.
this podcast,
Yes,
games?
Of course. The list of games. The epitome of
the only list.
The only list that exists now is the
we've abolished all other lists.
Yeah, this is the only
no
one.
more lists in the world.
Yes, if you're looking for lists out there, the only one you can find. And if you don't like games, tough out.
Sucks.
You're out of luck there. But it's IGN's top 100 games of all time. Recently, came out with their list. I watched a couple videos at first. I watched the video of the top 10. We talked about the top 10, and then I just clicked on the article. I have all of it listed down because I didn't want to watch that video of like all of them.
Right.
It's a long video. So because they actually put the IGN review in for each game they have. So it's like a little mini review.
Yeah.
So they're very long.
You're like, it's like a 4-hour video.
Yeah, it's very long. So I didn't want to do that. But I basically just wanted to bring it up because there are some things that shocked me. There are things that I agreed with. There are things that I want some more information on.
And I won't get any.
And I won't get any because I don't know anybody that works at IGN.
We just go down to their offices. They're in SF.
That's right.
Like, you let us in. We have
We're
it.
picketing.
We have questions.
We have questions for you. It's like question marks. We won't have question marks. We're like, these.
They're like, we're still on vacation. No one's here.
And I'm like, oh, of course. Shit. Damn it. People have vacation time during the holidays. But no. So, but overall, like, I think this list is something that I was interested in.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it later about, like, what these lists mean and, like, what they actually do for the gaming community. But anyway.
Yeah.
So, basically, the first thing I was really shocked at or surprised. Because I started the list at, like, 100. So, it goes 100 all the way to 1. So, I was like, 100, okay.
Okay,
99,
sure, whatever.
98. Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, I was shocked and upset.
Yeah, 98. That's really, like, low. Like, about as low as you can go on that list.
Almost, yeah.
2 away from the lowest ranking on that list.
I know. I was shocked. I just, and I mean, like, a lot of this is biased, of course, because I love Final Fantasy VII, but it's just really interesting to me, especially when you look at some of the titles that come up on this list before it, like higher on the list, and like even in like the top 10, I'm like, oh, really? That?
Yeah.
Above Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah. That's how I looked at the whole list. Like every time that I read another one,
It was
I
in
like,
comparison.
Above? Yeah, I was like, above?
Yeah.
How?
So I don't know. It's shocking to me because, like, sure, like it's an older game. Like, it's definitely not up to contemporary standards. Obviously, it came out in 1997, I think. But, like, I think in terms of its impact, it should be higher on the list.
Yeah, because it changed what JRPGs could do. Like, with story and animation. Like, when the animation came out and the trailers started, like, hitting the public, everyone was blown away. They were like, of course, like, a lot of it was they only showed the cutscenes. So they're like, wow, this game looks really good. And they didn't show the gameplay footage, which, you know, whatever. But still, the gameplay footage does look much better than what, like, going from Final Fantasy 6 to Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
Like, that was a huge leap.
And just the way, like, I've always loved the art style, the way that they had, like, the static backgrounds and only what was in the foreground would move, which I'm sure was probably a technical limitation, but they ran with it and made something really cool out of it. And, like, yeah, like everything you just said. And plus, for me, the biggest thing that I love about 7 is the story. You know, like, it's the way that it unravels and the way that you learn more and more and more about, like, these characters, the nature of the world. You have, like, very complex, like, emotive characters and, like, you know, just the complexity within Cloud's storyline alone, you know, because he's painted for, like, the first 3 discs as this, like, gruff, like, whatever, like, you know, tough guy, you know, soldier. And then you learn that like literally he's just traumatized and thinks that he's somebody else because of how traumatized he is and was experimented on and all this shit. And it's just like, I think the progression in the narrative in terms of like revealing, especially about the enemies, like learning about Shinra and like, again, like the way that they experimented on Soldier and like Sephiroth, like you don't, like what I love is like, and we've talked about this before as to why we hate the remake. Yeah. Is because Sephiroth is not revealed until like way later. You don't even know what he looks like. Well, I mean, you know what he looks like, but like
in passing. He just like passes by and he's like mysterious. He's like, hey, I'll see you later. Table for two. They're like, what?
What?
Where are you at?
He's gone. And they're looking for him for like half the game. Yeah. You know, and it's just like that to me is just like, it's just really good storytelling. The way that things are like laid out and progressively revealed to you. Because I feel like a lot of narratives these days, it's kind of like all the lore on you at once. You know, it's like half of your time in a tutorial is spent learning about like the nature of the world and of the games, and like all this shit is dropped on you, and like you know who the enemy is and all this shit. But it's like the progression of it and slowly learning about Shinra and Sephiroth, and like again, even Sephiroth has like a complex like character story about why he's a villain now, and it's like I think it was just so masterfully done. You know, for a game, for an era where, like, I don't think that kind of storytelling was very common in games.
Yeah. No,
at least of that complexity.
Yeah, because it started out with, like, you know, you're just with these ragtag like, group of people that are trying to do one thing at a time.
Right.
And then they find out, oh, the whole world is involved. You know, this could be, like, a world-destroying thing. Right. We have to save the planet now. It started off with,
giving
like...
the planet the suck.
Yeah, he is. No, it changed the scope. Like, yeah. You know, the scope was very linear, very like closed in,
and like local.
Yes, I feel like Final Fantasy VII really like opened the doors for things to come, and you know, Final Fantasy VIII, you know, tried to get on that wagon a little bit, and people gave it some slack, but
right. But Final Fantasy VIII's fucking dope.
I love Final Fantasy VIII. I just feel like all these things, and if you talk to like gamers, you know,
yeah,
I feel like people know about, even if they haven't played Final Fantasy VII, even
right.
if they don't like Final Fantasy as a series. I feel like they know the impact of Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
And to see it on 98 on the list.
Feels like it's being slighted.
I was very surprised.
Yeah, because it is. It's like if you talk to people, especially people who are not gamers, like people know like Final Fantasy VII, Mario, Zelda, and then like the OGs like Tetris, which was on here.
Yeah, like Metroid. Yeah.
Pong.
The Pong.
Mr. Pong, sir.
So, and yeah, like, I can't believe, so to put into, like, some perspective, if you've seen this list, or if you've, like, seen all the numbers, like, 17 spots up from Final Fantasy VII is Sims 3.
Right.
Like, I like Sims. Like, Sims is a great game. I've played a lot of hours of Sims.
Right.
But when I think greatest games of all time.
I don't think Sims 3
Sims
specifically.
3. Like, not Sims, no. 3. Yeah. And, like, also with the Sims 3, like all those things you can buy, it's like a money suck.
Literally.
You have to buy a lot to like even play it. But Final Fantasy 7, you can just pop that baby out of that case and play it and just be blown away. But Sims 3, you have to buy an expansion pack if you want to play anything.
Playing.
Do you want this shirt that comes in blue? $12.99.
And I did get those expansion packs.
I did too.
Oh, trust me.
I got especially the dog one. Anyway, but
that's not the point.
To put some perspective. Now, I did appreciate how they had Last of Us 2 as number 38, which was pretty good. Yeah. And Last of Us 1 as 17. That's
it was really high.
Birth number. That's my birth number. September 17th.
I need to scroll because I want to look at the top 10 again. It is funny. And, like, I'm not super into the Zelda franchise, but I did think it was interesting that A Link to the Past was number 4. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, Breath of the Wild was number 1. Spoiler.
What? I didn't see number 1. I stopped at 2.
I stopped at 2. Super Mario World.
Yeah. I wanted to be surprised later tonight as I curled into bed. What's number 1?
But that, I don't know, that was surprising to me because, again, Ocarina of Time was also on this list, but it was, like, 15 or something. It was, like, lower. And it's just funny to me because I'm like, you talk to people who are maybe casual gamers, they're going to recognize the impact of Ocarina of Time over A Link to the Past, I feel like.
See, I had a different experience. I played Link to the Past first.
Yeah.
For Ocarina of Time. So I had a different experience where
you were like, this is the best game ever.
Yes. I literally carried it around with me as a kid.
Oh my God, Mary.
Oh,
boop, 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 boop.
I was trying to enact it. I would carry it around with me as a kid, like close to my chest, and walk around with it like a baby blanket, because I didn't want anyone to take it. Because it looks so, like, the cartridge, like the cover art on it looks so cool.
Yeah, and that is like, very true.
And it was like my favorite game that I was playing, because it was so, I went from like Mario.
Yeah.
Like on the, that, to playing
you know Mario.
You know the Mario. To playing Link to the Past. And that game, when it starts out and there's the rain, and you can like hear the rain and the thunder.
I never played it.
Okay. There's a part right when it opens up. It's very memorable because you're like trying to go to this castle and you're going and it's raining and it's thundering and it's kind of like ominous a little bit. And then like the sun comes out later and like it just blew my mind as a kid, because I was like, wow, this is like really intense and this is really like invasive and it's big and it's expansive. It's not.
Yeah.
I feel like it did pave the way for the other Zeldas.
Yeah.
For sure.
And maybe I'm naive because I don't care. I mean, not that I don't care, but I'm not huge into Zelda. So I'm like, I don't really know in the Zelda community what people view as like, the best Zelda game, or like how people generally rank them. But,
yeah, that's just what it meant for me. Like I do think that Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda. So I'm a little biased. Because I like it more than Breath of the Wild.
You heard her here first, folks. Mary's biased.
I am. I like it more than Breath of the Wild. So come and get me. I'll give you my address, my number.
I'll dox myself.
I'll dox it.
How did you feel about Breath of the Wild being number one?
I was not surprised at all. I was like, I knew it was gonna be number one before I saw the list. I was like, number one's gonna be Breath of the Wild. Yeah. That game is just, it's the game of the all time. It's the best game of all time, according to this list. And a lot of people, like pretty much the way they talk about it, you can just kind of assume that.
Yeah. It does have it does have that certain quality to it. Mm-hmm. Where like, I mean, like I love it. And like, I wouldn't put it as number one for myself personally, but it's like, and I haven't played it in a long time, but it's understandable to me. Like it's just super fun gameplay. There's so much to do. Mm-hmm. And like you can beat the main plot, and there's still like even more gameplay than what's in the main story quest in terms of time investment. So it's like, and it's just beautiful. It's fun to play. It's smooth.
Yeah, the music is so good.
The music, yeah, everything.
Yeah, you can just pop it in. You can literally play it. It's the kind of game where even if you've beat it like several times over, you can still pick it up and play. Yeah, and just like play it, walk around, kill some people.
Walk around playing it.
Yeah, walk around playing it, walking around in the game, killing things, killing people in real life. Doing just multitasking, really. And there's still videos coming out where people are finding new ways to like kill things.
I love those videos.
So fun to watch.
They show up on Reddit all the time for me, and I'm just like, I love those videos. Yeah, the way that people get creative with the mechanics is so good.
I know there's so much to do, but I guess ultimately, do these lists matter? No. Does IGN? All right. Blanket no.
Blanket no. No, I mean like, at the end of the day, like it's just a list that like a bunch of people. I was just looking, it says IGN staff. So a bunch of people compiled, and like, at the end of the day, it's like the same thing as like, do the Game Awards matter? It's like, no, like just because like this group of people with a certain skill set and set of experience says like, these are the best games. Like that doesn't mean that they're the best games. You know what I mean? It's like, you look at like the panel of people for, I don't know, like for like the Game Awards, it's like it's like developers and like executives.
Yeah, it's not the player base. It's like the player base can like create, because each person has their own list.
Exactly.
Each person has their best list. Like for me, it's like I can apply it to movies, because games are a little harder for me just because I don't know if I have a best game of all time. I know I have. I don't,
like, for sure. There's no way.
Yeah, I just have like a general idea of what it is. But for movies, I do. Movies, I have a concrete, like, this is my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. And it's The Thing. And that movie is not Casablanca. It's not like, it's not a timeless classic that everyone likes and like watches and knows what it is. When I say The Thing, sometimes they're like, what? I'm like, The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing.
The Thing. But people are like, okay, whatever. she's weird, but that is my favorite movie of all time, and that doesn't mean that I think less of my choice,
right?
Because that's not something that people think of as like one of the best movies of all time,
right? Like that's the thing is like people look at these lists, and I think that like we had a very visceral reaction to Final Fantasy VII being so low because that's a game that we hold in high regard for ourselves, and that's the thing is I'm like these lists like. It's published by IGN, which is a very prolific, video game news source, right? So it's like I think people see these lists published by these big companies and groups of people and are like, oh, like, this is the list. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, what matters is, like, your connection to games and, like, what you see as the best video games of all time. Because I could probably make my own personal list using these same criteria that IGN used, and it would look totally different to this. Yeah. And that's just because it's a personal experience, and like, I don't know, like it says that this is published by IGN staff. So like, I don't know what their process for parsing all of these games and putting them in these categories were. Cause I'm assuming it was a lot of people involved and there was maybe a voting process. I don't know. The only thing I have insight into is their criteria for choosing, but it's like, I don't know where I was going with that.
No, but I do feel like you were on the lines of like, you don't know these people, their experiences, why they pick these games really, like essentially. And that doesn't take anything away from your experience with the games you've played and like what your list might be.
Right. Because the criteria, just for everyone listening, is, let's see, how great a game was when it launched, how fun it is to still play today, and how much the game reflects the best in class. Those are all subjective. Well, those are all Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII. And they're all subjective criterion.
Yeah, exactly.
Or criteria, sorry. It's more than one.
Yeah.
It's like, and to me, it sounds like they're trying to be painted as like, oh, these are objective. Like, but it's like, no, like those things are subjective. And like, these are people making this list. So it's like, I don't think these lists really matter. It's just an interesting insight into what a group of people agreed upon using these criteria, because you and I could do the same thing with these criteria and our list would look totally different.
But ours would be like the very vague, not direct top 5, maybe not of all time.
Like we have a list, but they're not numbered. We're like, oh, you have to guess what number we would put it at.
And then like even like I would be like, I don't know, maybe. It's very ambiguous. It's Mary's ambiguous top 10 list of video games of all time. No, but I definitely agree that I don't think that it really matters in the grand scheme of things, this list. There's one thing that I really do like about these lists, though, is that if there's a gamer out there who hasn't heard of these games by chance, you know, like different generations, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, maybe someone haven't really heard of that because they were born in like 2015, which is scary to say that. Or like,
but it's real.
20, And I was also thinking that people that are 18, they would already be, it'd be like 2001 or 2002.
Well, because it's 20. Well, no, wait.
2000.
No, wait.
Yeah. No,
2000. If you're born in 2000, you'd be 21 or 22.
Yeah. So if you'd be like born 2003, you'd be like 19.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's math.
That's insane to me. That's time math. But like, that's just insane that like there are adults walking around when we were like getting older. But anyway, what I was trying to say is, there are people that probably haven't played those generations of games. Right. So this kind of list breaks down like the best of the best,
throughout time.
Essentially, that they could maybe get into. And maybe not even that specific one. So there were a lot of sequels in this list.
There were, yeah.
A lot of sequels. But I feel like it could get you into the franchise. Like, for example, I have a JRPG book. It's like huge. Mm-hmm. And it goes through all of basically the first JRPG to now. Yeah. And it basically like talks about the series and what it meant for JRPGs at the time, like what is JRPG, how it changed the landscape of games, and between JRPG and Western RPGs, there's a huge difference. But basically, I learned a lot of games that I'd never heard of. Yeah. Like, I learned that in Japan, it was a Japanese exclusive. It's technically an RPG. It's basically a salesman goes around door to door selling condoms, and his goal is to sleep with the housewife that's bored.
Oh my god.
It's a naughty RPG.
Can we play that on the channel?
I kind of want to.
Do you think we would get banned from Twitch?
No, the pixels, like, I don't think we would because it looks really old. So, like, it's a very old.
Perfect. Let's see if we can find it.
And there's also another game. It's the sequel to that, I think, where similar vein, but you can actually, like, use the controller to, like, do some things.
Honk?
To the housewives.
Wow, to honk the housewives.
To honk the housewives. And I was like,
that's what the game is called, Honk the Housewives.
Honk the Housewives too. Number 59 on my list. 69 on the list.
Yeah. Oh, whoa!
But I would have never known. I would have never like thought JRPG like at all. Like
right.
never known that existed until I read this book. So maybe like this list is like something like, oh, what's Castlevania Symphony of the Night? Maybe I should check that out.
Sounds cool.
Maybe it becomes one of their favorite games. It is. Yeah. And like much like I've gone through the AFI's top 100 movie list of all times. I used to be a really big cinephile, so I watched every movie down the line. 100 of them. And then a lot of them I was like, yeah, this is actually really good. And a lot of them I was like, this is really boring and I wasted my time.
Ouch.
So I think it opens the door sometimes when you don't know what game to pick.
True.
So it's like, here's a list. It's generally good. Pick from this list.
Many people say it's good.
Many people say it's good. You might enjoy it. The chances are you're going to enjoy it. More than likely. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like going to a restaurant and you're like, what's good here?
And then they just hand you IGN's top 100 games of all time list.
I'm like, yeah, I like to read, but I'm hungry.
Take number 98, the Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah. Can you move that to a number 1, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do agree, though. No, it's. I think it is a good source of information for people who maybe do have less experience with games and are looking to find something to play, find something new.
Exactly.
So, with that, shall we close out with the things that we've been playing recently?
Yes, we shall.
Yes. So I have been playing. Okay, I'm gonna stop. So I've been playing.
No.
Well, not been playing. I finished playing the first Hellblade in anticipation of the sequel coming out at some point in the future. And holy shit! Now, so this was an example of a game that came out at a time where I probably heard the name and was like, "Oh, I wouldn't be interested in that game," because I didn't know what it was, and I just was judging a book by its cover. Because that's what happened with God of War when it came out. I was just like, and I never played any of the old ones because I just assumed, oh, it's like a, war game. Like I don't want to play this.
It's a god who plays with war. No thanks, not for me.
And I learned my lesson with judging books by their cover, especially with video games, because God of War and Hellblade are two of my favorite games. So, holy shit. I had no idea what this game was about. Again, like I said, I really only looked into it because when we saw the gameplay footage of the sequel that's coming out recently at the Game Awards, I was just like, wow, this looks really cool. Like I should play the first one. So I looked into it and I was like, oh, I had no idea that this was the premise of this game. So for anybody who is also either naive like myself or just uninformed, essentially you play as this character Senua, who is taking a journey into hell, Nordic hell, with one L, to try and save her lover Dillian. And it's kind of like a hack and slash, like action adventure, that kind of thing. And it is just like I'm at a loss of words for like how to describe how well the mental health aspect of it is done, because the main character Senua struggles with psychosis. And something that I found really, really cool was actually in watching the credits at the end, because I do actually like to watch credits. They had, I think it was like 4 doctors and then like 8 like mental health advisors who were consulted in the production of the game. And I found that to be very, very cool. And it shows, because the representation of psychosis and how somebody who experiences that feels and experiences the world, as well as like how they experience the trauma that plays into that and like has played a part in causing it. All that stuff was represented very realistically. So it doesn't feel very contrived and it doesn't feel like fake. It is very real, and it's a very like so like a lot of parts of the game are very dark, you know, and it's just like it's a very, very good experience. It's very well done. You know, the voice acting, because, you know, you have like her, but then also like the voices, and just how those play into the game, how they actually function as a mechanic too at some points, like you have to go over there, or like, you know, stuff like that. Just very well done. And the plot too, like it's just the way that it progresses narratively is very impressive to me. Like it's just a very short game, like 8 hours maybe. I think I beat it in 2 days. But the coming to terms with like loss and coming to terms with like mental health, all of that is kind of part of your journey as this character. And the way that that's represented artistically as well, you know, in terms of like the final battle and like the final cutscenes and all that stuff. Just very, very well done. Love the way that mental health was represented. Very happy that they had consultants, professionals in the production of it. And I'm very curious now to see what the plot of the second game will be, because the first game felt very insular. Like it was kind of, like it had, you know, like a conclusion. It didn't feel open-ended. So I'm very curious what the second game will deal with when it comes out. So that is my spiel.
Yeah. No, when that game originally came out, I think I bought it like right away, because I heard about the consultant with like the doctors. Like I heard that in an article when it first released, like the reviews for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this game sounds interesting, because I have struggled with things like that in my life, and my family members have struggled with things like that in their lives. So I was like, this kind of hits home. Like I want to see like what this game's about. And I booted it up, and then I played like the first, like the intro to it, and I shut it off. I was like, then the voices started coming in, and it's just like, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was awesome, and I loved that aspect of it, but also it was very triggering for me.
Yeah.
So I had to shut it off. But I respect that game. I respect what it stands for. I respect like how far it's come to be able to have a sequel, like being an indie game, like a AAA indie game.
Yeah.
Which was like really impressive at the time, and people were really impressed by it. It came out of nowhere, and it was like, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm here. And the fact that they did go through the extra mile of making sure that it was very realistic. And I think that's what got me, is because it was so realistic.
You're like, oh,
this is like, you know, because I have, you know, struggled with that. Not me personally, but family members have struggled with that. And that's why I was like, wow, blown away from that. Just that it is very realistic. So I want to try again when I'm in more of like a safe space to be able to play that. But that is on my list of like games that I most likely will play before I die, and or have the most respect for of any game.
Games that I have the most respect for if I die before I play it. Yeah, I just love, it's also like up there in terms of like one of my favorite like final boss battles. Which is, I feel like, a list that would be very fun to create and talk about. Because I have 3 that come to the top of the forefront. Well, 4 actually that just came to the forefront of my brain immediately.
I have 2 right now I'm thinking of.
So I'd say Hellblade, Last of Us Part 2.
That's a good one.
And then Final Fantasy 9. I really like the ending boss, which it's very fucking hard.
Oh, it's pretty hard.
But I like the setup of it. And then actually, those are the kind of like the 3 that first popped in my head. But yeah, I just really like the ending of it. Obviously no spoilers, but it's very, very cool.
Looks very cool.
Period.
Yeah. Periods are cool.
Periods
I'm
are
on
cool.
it right now. Full transparency. Women's rights. But no, it's one of those games I really want to play. So I'm glad that you finished it.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. I hacked my PlayStation Classic because there are games.
You voided the contract.
I did.
Warranty.
Actually, it was pre-hacked. So
sure it was.
Yes, to avoid the jail time. It was pre-hacked. I don't know where I got this information from, but basically there are a lot of expensive PlayStation games.
Yep.
Like if you want to buy, if I have a PlayStation 1, but if you want to buy like the games for it,
Good
it's
luck.
very expensive. Very expensive. And there's a game that I've been wanting to play for years, probably like 10 plus years. And it's called Snatcher. And Hideo Kojima made it. And the only English version there is for Sega Saturn. It's $1,200. to get just the game. Just the game. And a Saturn is like a couple $100.
Right.
So I'm looking at like $1,500, $1,700 if I want to play the game.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I like it. I just need to spend that money to play it. So I was like, I don't feel like doing that. So anyway, through the avenue of totally legal things, I am now playing through Snatcher in English patch. Yeah. And then I also on that list is Breath of Fire, because that game, I didn't really know a lot about it because I was mainly into Final Fantasy at that time, like PlayStation era. But Breath of Fire 4, I believe, yes, Breath of Fire 4 is this beautiful game. It's one of those beautiful RPG like styles that I've seen.
Yeah.
That game is also like $200. So I was like, I don't want to spend like $200. I don't know if I like this game. I'm not going to be willing to spend that. So
Right.
It's just really nice to be able to like have that at my disposal.
Yeah.
In a very legal way.
Yep. Totally legal.
Totally legal. And I feel like I'm adding to my backlog, but I don't feel as bad because, you know, it's legal.
Yeah. It's totally legal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And you're happy.
Yeah. And then another game I'm playing, like through all those games, I'm playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses on Switch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because that game, when it came out, I'm not usually into strategic games.
No, I hate.
Yeah, like I don't know the exact word for it. That's how little I know about it.
Strategy.
That's how little. Yeah, it's like strategy, but it's like you play as like characters and like you're on this battlefield and you have to like click the spots.
Yeah, I
and,
hate
like,
that shit.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. I really am not a fan.
I've tried playing several of those kinds of games. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I played Final Fantasy Tactics because I tried that.
Yep, I've tried Tactics, Revenant Wings, Final Fantasy 12 Revenant Wings. Tried it, couldn't do it.
Yeah, so I basically was trying to make myself good at these games and or like these type of games.
Yeah.
Because the actual storyline of Three Houses is really cool. I like the characters. The voice acting is some of the best voice acting that I've heard in a game.
Yeah.
And it's gorgeous. And I like the fact that you're in this school and you have to like go around and do like this social aspect, but also go to battle and, you know, level up and do all those things. So it is a really cool experience that way. And you get to pick which house you're in. I picked the one so there was 3 houses. And I thought I was going to pick the one because they're like the funny people. Yeah. Like the laid back. There was 3 groups. So one of them was like laid back and chill. And the leader is like funny and like cute. He's cute. And I was like, that's the one. I was like, I like listened to them all talk and I'm like, that's the one. I'm going to go to the yellow house. That's the one I'm going to. But then when I got time to like make the decision, they were like, yeah, the yellow house is all archery. So it's like bow and arrows. And I was like, I don't like that kind of fighting. And then they're like, the blue, and then I was like, okay, I'll go to the red house then. Red house is all magic. And I was like, oh, okay. But the blue house was like swords and like, you know, like warriors, like knights. And I was like, yeah, I got to do that one. Yeah. But it's the most like the dude is just like super white, like super boring. He's like vanilla. And I was like,
you can't have it all. That's what you learned.
But anyway.
Yeah.
It's a fun game.
That's all.
That's all.
That is all, I think.
Yeah.
Guys, we have Twitter and Instagram now, and we're going to start using them, I promise. I promise. New Year's resolution.
Yeah, follow us. Follow us down this journey.
So it's After School Special Club on Instagram and then Ask Club Podcast on Twitter. After School Special Club was taken. Well, actually, no, it was too long for Twitter, so I had to shorten it to Ask Club. We're
going to get a lot of people on there that
don't want
like
what we're giving them.
Yeah, they're like, video games.
What?
I want a booty.
And then, of course, you can follow us also on Twitch, After School Special Club on Twitch. We are going to be streaming every week on, what days did we decide?
We said we're going to stream on Friday nights.
Friday nights, yeah. So, don't go out and get Omicron. Stay in and watch us stream. We have a whole bunch of games already planned out for January, like I said earlier. So you have that to look forward to. Our first stream will be this upcoming Friday on whatever day of the week that is.
We're playing some wacky Steam games.
Yeah, Mary and I are downloading Steam games secretly, unbeknownst to each other. We're going to make each other play them. So, yeah. And then that's pretty much it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And make sure to follow us on our adventures. Yes,
follow us. Please follow us. Give us a 5-star rating and a review on iTunes.
Yeah, even, you know what? At this point, give me a 1-star. Just get a review
don't
on
do
there.
that. Don't
get
do
a
that.
review on there. Do it.
Don't do that. We'll never get sponsors.
Do it. Say it's the worst thing ever.
Please don't do that. that. Please be nice.
Bad
it's the
press,
new year.
Bad press is good press.
Okay, that's it.
Bye.
Bye.